Very good afternoon to you all. I want to start with really telling you a little bit about what I've learned in healthcare. In hospitals, chaos is not unusual. Suddenly, a patient is wheeled into the emergency room, a life changes in seconds, doctors make decisions under pressure, and families wait, hoping against hope. In healthcare, chaos is not an exception, it's the environment. And yet, inside this chaos, a surgeon still finds precision, a nurse still finds calm, and healing still finds a way. What I've learned really is that symphony emerges in the middle of this chaos. There is a difference between noise and symphony, and it's really the story that we choose ourselves. I don't want my photo here. Can I have the slide? Thank you. I don't want to see myself here. So really, I want to talk to you about 3 stories that changed my life. And it really changed my life because I changed the way I was telling myself the story. Story number 1 begins at home. You know, you've grown up with excellence, which is really a reality. My father is one of the biggest and most celebrated orthopedic surgeons of the country. He's got 3 Padma Awards, Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan. He's got the biggest hospital. Thank you. I take it on behalf of him. My brother followed his footsteps and has some amazing achievements. So while I was growing up, there were very diverse career choices. Doctor, or doctor, or doctor. And frankly, when I've seen excellence, you don't really mind this talk of doctor around you. You feel responsible to take the legacy forward. And I felt like it was my dream to become a doctor. I studied really hard, got into medical school. And picture, the first year, something just felt off. And I was like, this was my dream, what is feeling off? That's when the chaos started. And like the speaker said, mostly the chaos is not outside, it's inside. I was trying really hard, I was studying all the subjects, I was doing everything that I needed to do, but something just felt like I was not playing the right instrument. I remember every night I lay in bed and I said, I can't do this, I can't do this. And there was a stronger voice that came into my head which says, if you don't become a doctor, who are you? You're going to break your parents' heart, your family is going to be let down. And that became my story, that became my truth, kept circling. But the truth of the matter is I could not cope up. I just had to drop out of medical school. And when I did, it just felt like the music stopped. There was nothing going on. I was failing, I was ashamed, and literally I felt like the whole world had moved ahead. And they had, because I lost a year. And in this wallowing of my sorrow, one day my father, who's really my hero, came to me and put an arm around me and said, don't see this as a failure, see this as a stepping stone. He didn't clip my wings. I'm sure I shattered his dream somewhere. He didn't clip them. He just gave me wings and said, go explore, find your path. And that's when something in me clicked, my story changed. My story so far was I was failing. And suddenly it became, I'm exploring, I'm learning, and I'm becoming. You know, so my life and my career was never a straight line. It was working in the Silicon Valley in the US, then working for a tech company, moving to media, moving to education, and then circling back to healthcare. You know, if you see life is a shuffle, my life was really like a Spotify on shuffle. And some of the songs I didn't even really choose. But somewhere those songs started making sense to me. My life right then was Silicon Valley and tech and education. And I circled back to tech, to the hospital, and I didn't become a doctor. But I really today manage doctors and I work with medical professionals. My life was never a fixed playlist. It went off track many times. But what I learned through this entire thing, first phase of my life, was that confusion or chaos is not crisis, it's tuning. And you've been hearing that. Chaos is tuning. You know, it's just that setbacks is a way to say that your story has to be still rewritten. My second story is a little more personal. It's about harmony. And this harmony, the meaning of harmony I learned from my late mother-in-law. She was a woman who has had the most profound impact on my life. You know, an achiever, a caregiver, a beautiful classical singer. She could tune into anything. But life gave her more than her share of loss, of challenges, of pain. She lost her husband to a prolonged illness, became a single mother very early on. All their finances were almost zero. She lost her brother, who she loved, of course, very dearly. And then the biggest of the storm that hit her, her first grandson was diagnosed with autism, and she was shattered. I remember at one point of time, under her roof, she was taking care of three generations. Her mother-in-law, who was visually impaired, her daughter-in-law, who was heartbroken, and her grandson, who needed constant care and could not communicate. And somewhere this, like the house was full of fear, was stress, there were emotional breakdowns, but my mother-in-law was silently taking in it. She showed up every single day. Not with noise, not with complaints, but with harmony, with grit, and with grace. Cut to many years later, 2005, life tested her again. She got diagnosed with advanced cancer. At the same time, my husband and me were living in Mumbai. I was pregnant with my first child. And suddenly I decided I'm going to move to Pune to take care of her. It felt very dramatic because suddenly my life split into two worlds. In one, I was preparing to bring a life into this world, and in the second, I was holding on to one. There were late nights, and they were not just hunger, pangs, and cravings. They were about hospital corridors, they were about chemotherapy, blood transfusion, infections, caring, crying, and holding on. The story I could have told myself that time was that I didn't deserve this. I was going to be a mom, I was stressed, and I needed all the pampering. But then my mother-in-law's grit and grace flashed in front of me. How she brought in harmony through all her challenges. And just like that, I said, I have to take charge. Life at that time taught me something that no prenatal class or Garbh Sanskar would have taught me when I was pregnant. It taught me that stress has no calm season, and chaos is always a part of every deal. What could I do? I could just soak it in. I could step up. I had to show up. That's what I've learned from her. Just show up with courage and conviction, and harmony has to follow. Thank you. There's one more story. My third story brings me back to where I am today. I'm in healthcare. I run a company called Helios Home Care, and we send doctors, nurses, physiotherapists to patients' home. We treat them in the comfort of their home. It is one of the biggest home care companies that's built on trust and human connection and service. Think of March 2020, global pandemic, global chaos. I mean, we've got our little versions of chaos, but we all know what a global chaos meant, right? And what did this mean for us? We were at a standstill. Patients were forced to shut their doors on us, and appointments went to zero, and we just didn't know what to do. I remember being shell-shocked because till it starts impacting you, you don't know what a global chaos can mean, right? We were at zero, and I was like, do I shut down? Do I lay off the entire team? Or do I just stand up and keep paying the entire team? And both were not possible. We had no revenue coming in. And layoffs to me was not just a number. It was lives of our teams with their families, with their dreams and their aspirations. I remember one day, thinking of why did we start Helios? And we started Helios to be in service, to care, and to create an impact. Then the question I asked myself, if that's my purpose, how do I stay true to it when everything is falling apart? And the answer was really strong and very clear. It said, don't give up, just change the story. And to my surprise, when I talked to my team members about it, every doctor, every nurse, every physiotherapist, every head office member said, we will not give up, we are going to go figure it out. And figure out we did. We had to start with fighting with the government for permission, saying COVID, of course there is COVID, but we are going to go into patients' homes and continue to treat them where we can. We got thousands of PPE suits. We protected each of our team members, but they were risking their lives. They were going into patients' home when the building had like red dot, Pimpri Chinchwad notices, but they went into patients' home. Nobody stopped, nobody gave up. We also ran an online COVID care program, really, which said that, okay, we can only reach so many patients, we will take care of you. Our physiotherapists and our doctors ran remote care centers. They were guiding patients with COVID, not once a day, they were talking to them twice a day, thrice a day. What are their stats? What is their oxygen level? What's their nutrition? Can they exercise with us? Our really phone calls became lifelines. And we managed to treat more than 5,000 patients. And that's what happened. We created that impact. The government even, first the government resisted and then they awarded. You know, that's what government does. We award some good things and they partnered with us and the rest really was history. And somewhere in that global pandemic, the global chaos, things seemed to settle for us. We survived. We didn't give up. And really what I learned was one thing. A symphony happens when there's a shared purpose. It was never me alone. I could not do anything. The team said this is our purpose, and we all know a symphony can happen when every person, every team member is playing their part seamlessly, mindfully, and with intent. So these three stories, taught me something. I started off as a daughter, went on to be a student, then a daughter-in-law, a caregiver, a mother-to-be, went on to becoming an entrepreneur, a team member, and a leader. With all these roles I've played, there's one thing that's emerged, that chaos is not the enemy. You've heard that throughout in every single speaker who came up here on stage. Chaos is not the enemy, but chaos is always going to be there. So really the enemy, there is an enemy still, right? There can't be all friendly things. The enemy is the story that we tell ourselves. What's the narrative you are choosing? What's the mindset that you have right now? That's what I've learned. You can change the story and you can change your life. Really, so if any of you all are resonating with this, if any of you all are feeling stuck in what's going on, I want to say pause. Pause is underestimated, but you heard every speaker talk about it. Just pause, tune in, and then you're going to find that harmony which you thought was never going to exist. I want to just end with a little dialogue. I won't do justice to it, but Shah Rukh Khan is my most favorite. And he says, "Zindagi bhi picture ki tarah mein end mein kuch acha hi ho jata hai. Happy's endings." I saw that thing when, on loop. And he says, happy's endings. और अगर end में अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, तो end ही नहीं है. क्योंकि picture अभी बाकी है मेरे दोस्त. Thank you very much.